everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spotlight. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Derek.
In today's episode, we will be focusing on student involvements in organizations and what these experiences can teach them. No one is more suitable to speak on this than Belinda Leonardo. She's here to share her experiences and achievements in organizations. To start off our interview, can you briefly share us about your own experiences and also can you briefly tell us about yourself?
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Belinda Leonardo. You can call me Belinda. And currently I'm an undergraduate student in RMIT. And currently I'm also studying in finance. Also previously I completed my diploma in international business in Singapore Institute of Management. And also aside from being a student, I'm also quite active in CCAs or organizations, internally and externally. For internal organizations in CCA, I've also involved in ISAC in SIM. I've also gained experience on being a committee in INSIM and also doing CCA in International Student Office. Also aside from that, I joined like student youth organizations in Local Youth Indonesia, Spread the Word, Green Generation Indonesia, also other CCAs that will be mentioned later.
Thank you for introducing yourself to us, Belinda. Can you also share what first motivated you to join student and youth organizations?
Alright, that's a very nice question. I think what started for me back then, what motivates me was actually being curious, and also I've started my way back through and I want to achieve something more, not only in student academic life, but also I want to enrich what can a student can possibly do, and maybe beyond that border as well. Since I don't want to be the type of just academically smart, I also want to gain so much more experience in terms of how can I hone my emotional intelligence or EQ, also doing soft skills, honing soft skills and having so much more international network that I can benefit from and also can learn from, because I believe what really motivates me back then was actually going out of the comfort zone and going out, being in the bubble of just wanting to be the normal high schooler kid. From then on, I started my way back through, and until now, I can surely say that it was one of the best decisions that I've made.
And before joining these organizations, what kind of person were you and how has that changed now?
Okay, so before joining organizations, I believe I was kind of like a shy kid. If I'm comfortable with the person that I'm talking to or the group that I'm comfortable with, I would say I'm actually quite fluid and also friendly with them. But in public eyes, I would say if no one is really paying attention to me, I would just sit at the very back row and more of shadowing people, not in the spotlight mode, which is kind of like quite surprising to me looking back now. In senior high school, I think like the turning point was in senior high school, but before that I can say that I was quite an introvert. If we could retake the MBTI test again, I think mine was like INFP, but now it has totally changed so much. Now I've become more of a student leader and more assuring, more empathetic, more also on being my own self and more comfortable in striking a conversation with people after joining a lot of organizations. So the change has drastically made me like a whole different person. Even like I hadn't seen my relatives or my family in so long, and they will also point out some things that they notice has changed a lot for me positively.
Looking back, what unexpected lesson stands out the most to you, and how would you share that insight with your younger self?
Okay, so what moment or experience that stood out to me the most was actually realizing that that result don't come with like instantly, and it's not an instant process. such as when you're making instant noodles, you got to actually put on the process, right? Like you got to unbox the packaging, you need to, like doing all the necessary things to make it like a final product. And that also, and in the same scenario, I think it applies the same towards my progress. If you're also wondering like, oh, how can a person achieve so much, or like how can a person actually learn so much, I wouldn't say like I'm the very role model figure as of now, because I'm also still learning. I'm also still growing by my own and also by the people that I lead, the people that I've interacted to. So realizing that this kind of moment, this kind of experience wasn't just like a one night experience or one night process for me, was actually one of the biggest takeaways, because in order for you to actually grow, you need to have you need to be on the ground. You need to also realize that it's not an instant process once again. So yeah, I think you need to be more passionate into what you're doing, and what comes with that is you can actually enjoy the moment, you can enjoy the process, rather than just realizing that, if I'm not enjoying the process, then what's there for me next, what's there can benefit me. But also you realize that a failure doesn't mean that you're a no-go, but it's just like if there is no win, if there is no like final goal for you, is actually you can learn from the experience itself, and that assuring that growth mindset is what keeps me on after all this time.
That's very inspiring indeed. So on to the second part of the interview, we will be diving deeper into your organizational experiences. To start off, we did some background research and found out that you were involved in a lot of organizations such as Local Youth Indonesia, SIM Student Ambassador, PPI Singapura, and Gerakan Anti Kekerasan. How do you manage your time without burning out?
Okay, so this is actually one of the questions that I get often, especially in terms of like the social media presence that I have currently, because I've also been actively making educational content and also sharing about student life. So from then on, I think one of the biggest issues is actually time management, because when we're talking about time, it is quite essential that we all know that we only have 24 hours per day, and that moment itself can be like you already contributed so much towards your student life, and more often like your personal life, and even adding on the organizational or CCA life, that you have to put your commitment into it. So for me, talking about this, I feel myself as quite an organized person now. Of course, back again, it was a process. It's not an instant realization that, okay, in order for this to work, I have to make on several changes for myself. First on, I think it's by knowing your priorities. By saying this, it's like knowing your own self and also knowing what works the best for you. Because if we're talking about how can I make my time work, is I will normally set on my agenda by doing the Google Calendar and also tracking what I have on the week, and also doing time blocking, such as I don't miss anything important for me to do. And also aside from that, I think you don't need to actually encourage yourself to start on doing something because you just want to finish the task, but also like you can get on like break it down to different chunks, such as what's important for you, and if there's any clashing in schedule, I think you can also set on your priorities straight and making all the parties involved to be aware and to be informed in advance. And aside from that, I think it's by knowing your value, knowing your strategy, knowing the game. Because if we're talking about time again, I believe as a student myself, I also had a hard time to I already have a class and also doing this competition, side job, side hustle, or any kind of extra work. But I think what really can help me keep up with the rhythm is actually because I enjoy the process, because I enjoy what I'm doing. So one pro tip or one advice is you don't need to join all the student clubs, all the organizations, but you can progressively join one at a time. Or if you feel like you are enjoying the environment and also the role that you're doing, I can assuredly say say that you're in the good hands, you're in the good environment to begin with. And from then on, if you feel like you enjoy the things that you're doing, I believe time won't be like a very much of a big problem, because you are actually gaining so much more experience for yourself, and you feel great by doing so. So I think that is some kind of like drive and motivation that comes internally, and yeah.
Right. So we'll be first going into your experience in Local Youth Indonesia. Could you tell us what the organization is about and what your role is in Local Youth Indonesia?
Okay, so Local Youth Indonesia was actually one of the earliest external organization that I joined back then in 2021, and I believe it was still at COVID time. And that moment, in that period of this whole pandemic, I feel like what I can contribute towards like outside of school, externally. So from then on, I joined this organization called Local Youth Indonesia, and its mission and vision and mission is very simple. It's actually to raise global awareness towards social issues and also global issues that are happening in the world. So it is considered like it runs by the youth and for the youth. So all the members are actually very, very young, like starting from 14 until 19. And in this specific role, I was also in charge of public speaker. I started my way as a member, and from then I became the co-director or co-head, and also now I've become the head of public speaker. And actually in this role, I gained like so much more experience towards like what you guys are also doing, emceeing, also doing moderating talks and webinars. As such as you become the face of the organization towards the projects that they are doing, such as we have webinars, we have also offline efforts, initiatives, and invited media partners towards conferences. And yeah, I think this one organization has helped me so much to explore myself and also to open my doors towards other organizations that I'm involved with right now.
What's one project or moment in Local Youth Indonesia that left a strong impact on you?
Okay, so we actually had a lot of many projects previously and also upcoming. But one specific project for me was actually the charity session, or like the period of where such as the caring and month in Esther, such as Esther month, we also held like a donation, and that comes after like we visited the orphanage. We also visited any kind of unfortunate groups or marginal groups that need a helping hand. So by doing so, we don't only actually conduct like this donation and just giving it to them, but we also do like what can they benefit from the activity, such as we also think about the life skills that we can have in arrangement, like a webinar session, or also like English as a second language kind of session. And also doing this we are mixing, interconnecting, and arranging this activity not only as we want to help them in financially, but also we want to extend what we have in power to make them empower them. So yeah, this one specific activity I think is what makes me feel like we actually have so much privilege, we can extend them for our friends who are not exactly fortunate as ourselves. Yeah, and aside from that, I think just the webinars and the youth space that we have regularly, I think this is a very insightful project. And the general audience are youth as well, and who are looking for experience, who are looking for different topics to help them also in their maybe youth times.
That seems like a very diverse work.
Yeah, it is.
And moving on to the next organization that you're handling now, which is Vice President of Gerakan Anti Kekerasan. Can you share the mission of it and why it's important to you?
Okay, so this is a very nice one as well, because actually this is not a title that I earned from the very beginning, because my friend who is the founder of this organization actually made an effort to reach out some of the girls who are also in the same field, who are like-minded and wants to have this same vision to grow this organization. So he reached out to me last year and offered me the role as the co-founder or the vice president for anti-violence movement. I accepted the offer wholeheartedly because I know that this is actually one of the organizations that I joined, but it was like in regional area. So my focus back then was in Jakarta, but now it has grown so much in regionally and also in the nationwide is the Generasi Anti Kekerasan Indonesia. So the vision and mission is back again like the name itself, anti-violence, which means we also don't encourage all the or like we like against all the violence such as like bullying, and also either it can be like virtually based or even gender based, anything that you can name of the violence itself, we are against that. And in also doing this, we also have like declaration of anti-bullying, which we also collaborate with a lot of our non-profit organization that help annually in Universitas Indonesia. And from then on, I think we've gained so much more networks as well, and we also collaborate with a lot of more peoples, and we are also spearheading a lot more new efforts into Generasi Anti Kekerasan Indonesia.
How did working in an anti-violent movement change the way you see society or human behavior?
Okay, so working in Generasi Anti Kekerasan or anti-violence movement, I think by the sole title of this organization itself, it's like anti-violence, right? So back then on, I feel like violence will be like maybe it's regarding like maybe physically abusing or like physically violating something or someone. But now that I've worked with the organization, actually like violence takes on a lot of forms. Like maybe in terms of daily lives, we're not realizing ourselves making violent movements such as making harmful jokes. It can be actually violating the sense of human rights and also the feelings of somebody else that you're not maybe like you're not meaning to do so. But learning on deeply about the core movements, about the core activities, because we also oftenly conduct like young leaders training, and also we conduct a lot more efforts for the society to actually contribute more and to be more aware if they're also doing this without their own without their own knowings. So I feel like now I've gained so much more awareness into, such as when you're doing this kind of jokes, it may not be like appropriate. Yeah. So from then on, yeah, I feel like I've become more aware in this sense.
And what values become important to you after joining these movements?
Okay, what values became more important for me is first is integrity, because speaking about violence, I feel it's quite a taboo here, also maybe in Indonesia or in anywhere around the world, because you may feel like it's a closed books or closed book statement that you won't necessarily like would gain anywhere. But now that we've making the voices, making this kind of making these ripples in how we can view it as a collective society, and therefore like in this one integrity movement is more of a like not only genderly based on you don't really discriminate people, you don't want to do all this nasty stuff actually. So yeah, you have that integrity that embodies you. And next on is more in the sense of youth empowerment, because this is a non-profit organization once again, and also run by the youth. And for the youth, we also help on different like conferences and forums that are available for the youth to join, and that also concludes like we tried on pitching to the government. We tried on with the very big youth movements as well, like student council, national student council, and also Youth Rangers Indonesia. I think by this it's like quite of an impact as well for the youth empowerment. And next on is, I would say, more a sense of respect, because we've made the community more aware, and we've also made the community more aligned towards the value that we are so hoping for. Yeah.
So, Belinda, we heard that you were chosen among more than 10,000 applicants nationwide to be a press secretary at DKI Jakarta, representative of the Youth Parliament. Can you brief us about your roles there? And also, what are your key responsibilities during this role?
Okay, so yeah, this is actually one of the most proudest achievements for me, as being chosen as one of the nationwide candidates in Youth Parliament. So this is actually a national scale events program for democratic education held by the press secretary, or the Republic of the House of Representatives in Indonesia. And this is such an eye-opening experience, because also, aside from being one of the delegates in DKI Jakarta, I was also chosen to be one of the chairmen for the Press Youth Parliament. So this is like a simulation where the youth can be a real-life policymakers. So my key responsibilities will be, on a normal basis, it's like doing the press job. We held on events, join this, I would say, discuss some of the inventory problems, or what you know as the law in Indonesia, like a legislative bodies in Indonesia. And also, aside from that, I also joined webinars and also joined a lot more funds, because actually it's not only about all the serious moments that we had, but also about like we can have our own fraction, and also consists of a lot more people. Like I gained in nationwide friends, not only from Jakarta but also like from all the 34 provinces in Indonesia. And I think that's a very one of the most loving moment for me, because from now I can say that I actually have a friend from the whole Indonesia, and kind of like missing them as well right now. But talking on about like more of the roles is basically you've like the extended hand for the legislative purposes, but it's not like you're actually advocating for them. It's more of a like, how can they educate the youth to be more aware on the law, on the policy making, and also on the system itself, and how we can amplify like being the just like a role model on the side of the policy and the politics of Indonesia, but we're not actually promoting any parties involved with it.
I see. That must have been like a very great achievement for you. Okay. So for our next question, you were also invited as a guest speaker at TBR Parlemen DPR RI. So what was that experience like for you?
Okay, so actually upon receiving this notice, it was actually like a month or a few months after my youth parliament moment has ended, because it's actually like a week-based program. And upon receiving this notice, I was very ecstatic. I was very excited, and because I know this offer don't come easily, don't come like very often. And as I was a senior high schooler back then, and I was invited to be one of the speakers to talk about the bullying once again, because it was at that year, I think it was 2024-ish, bullying was one of the still one of the core problems that we had in Indonesia, and maybe until now as well. Because on this note, I was also given the opportunity to meet and have a heartfelt discussion with one of the houses of the Republic of Indonesia, like one of the people there, one of the person who is representing. I forgot what it was like actually, but yeah, maybe I will put in the picture here for easier reference. But yeah, we talk about bullying, and also had on this opportunity to meet with all the people from the editorial team from DPR RI, or the House of Republic in Indonesia. And I think having this opportunity as well, and to meet once again with the staffs and having the touring again in DPR RI Senayan is actually very, very exciting. And also got my own, we got our own like TVR Parliament publicized in the YouTube link here, maybe for easier reference once again. And maybe if you all will be more interested towards what we are actually talking, then you can also look around here.
So moving on, how did both of these experiences have influenced your perspective on youth leadership in public policy? And also, how do you see the role of youth in the government and decision making that you didn't see before?
Okay, so speaking about what the impacts or what can actually the youth do after this kind of national program, I feel like first of all is to actually debunking all the like allegations towards what the youth are currently seeing. I know when we're talking about politics and government, it's not always like a very clean white sheet that you can put your heart and mind and soul into believing what you're seeing. But it's more of a like, what can the youth understand? Being more critical, being more focal into what can you really advocate, what can you really voice out. I think that lesson is actually like still in me right now, because after doing this program, I feel like my critical skill in analyzing some news, especially about government or about local and all the issues that comes in the politics side, is actually much more relatable and much more clear to me, because I can also like put like my views into what I am believing and into what are there also to be doubting on, and what can the youth can possibly help on in achieving something greater than this, or if there's any errors in the politics, in the policy making, we can also voice out on the problem itself. So it's not like limiting yourself from the whole generational, but yeah. And next on, I feel like after doing these programs, especially about the youth policies, I feel like I've became more self-conscious. I became more aware on like politics is not only politics, but it can affect so many lives. It can affect so many fields. It can affect your own daily life. So by becoming more aware of this, I feel if there is any error, if there is any kind of like misconduct in the government, as a youth, you can voice that out. You can have your own like session where you can request for an audience, and you can also help on towards like the social media, because back again, as the hashtag says, no viral, no justice in Indonesia. It's one of the like most talked out right now, because maybe for some of the governments that are currently doing their own works right now, may have different impacts, may have different minds that actually like afflicting all the parties. But as a youth itself, I believe we can all collectively do so much more, and do what can we do, more than as a side viewing or as an audience, but we can also voice our opinions on the public's eyes.
I'm glad you were able to increase your awareness and also be able to voice your thoughts on politics. And for our next question, as a subcommittee of community engagement in PPIS, what were the challenges that you faced when engaging with a diverse student population? How were you able to navigate the students' differing levels of engagement and participation in the organization and the community itself?
Okay, so speaking about the challenges during my Indonesian Student Association term, especially as community engagement subcommittee, for me, one of the biggest challenges, it's about like the demographics of the student itself. Because when we're talking about community, when we're talking about engaging them, we also have to think, we have to consider about their own ages, their own passions, their own timings, and etc. etc. But when we're also having the events running, or even planning the events, we have to think about whether they will actually like it or not, whether they will engage with the events or not. and whether our event can fulfill the purpose of having this whole community more feel like a sense of home, because this is once again like an international student body, right, in this foreign setting for the Indonesian students. So what can we do best for them to make it feel like home is something that is also been like a question box whenever we want to have an event. So yeah, I think that's like the question box that we have to solve together eventually. And by then on, how can we resolve that is actually by talking with the people itself and having this kind of productive discussion, and also incorporate them and also include them into the whole participating discussion. Yeah, it's like a participative discussion that we will also be having. And more on that, I think one of the challenges will be considering the timing schedule. Yeah, I think because we're setting on a date, some of people may not be available, or even having to reschedule the timing again and the day. And next on will be on maybe financial matter, because we believe like as an international student, maybe some of them are very much like quite okay with paying the events, or if not, then we also had to consider about the collaboration proposals, and we also have to consider about the budget. Yeah, I think having this kind of community engagement, because we are like the events maker of the organization, will be very much essential. And we also try our best to give all our, give what can we do, and giving the best options that we can have in the most non-financial basis.
I see. I'm glad you were able to navigate these challenges in the organization. And can you tell us one moment where you felt that your work has directly impacted the Indonesian community abroad in Singapore here? I mean, definitely you've had quite a lot of contributions to your organizations and also the community. And as such, yeah, when did you feel as though your work has definitely contributed to the community?
Okay, so this is my favorite question, maybe from the experience that I've had with Pepe Singapura. But maybe I'll start off by first mentioning the events that are run by my own department. So it is Indo Stride. We had two indoor strides last year, and indoor stride is basically like a networking session where we do sport activity or fun activity, but also in what comes is like we also have on our alumni, and also we have on maybe all the final graduate students or freshmen to actually learn while also doing something fun and having this productive discussion ongoing about maybe workforce, about the work after graduation and stuff in Singapore. So I feel like including these events twice was a very, very successful thing for my own department, because on the testimony, I feel like we are successfully like bonded the whole demographic, and also successfully like helping all the students who participated to gain like so much more exposure, so much more like insight into the working area or by the professionals as well. And yeah, I received so many positive feedbacks, and I feel like that's one of the most fulfilling things, as when you're running the events, you also feel the same of kind of passion, you feel the same kind of thrill for your event to be felt like the vision and mission is also like delivered for them. And next on, I think this is one of the most successful event as well, but it's run like by for like community engagement. We have community relations, right? And in that on, I was focusing on special purpose, but there is also another subdivision focusing on community service, and we also combining this effort into making Peduli Kartini. Peduli Kartini is like a very big event for community relations, where we help this free medical checkup for all the women, domestic worker, immigrants in Singapore, and also we successfully reached out to 250 plus beneficiaries, and also the ambassador from Indonesia to Singapore also came to our event. It was also quite, it was a very eye-opening moment for me and a very amazing thing for me, because I also volunteered myself to be the mental health translator in one of the stations, and a lot of people actually came to us, and they really actually they feel like they're home, and they say like they're very appreciative towards the efforts the Indonesian students are doing, and they feel like they are receiving the help they needed, and also receiving all the loves, all the cares, and because we also had the goodie bags for them, and I feel like that was a very successful event coming from my own period.
Must have been very memorable as
Yes.
well. What were the values that guided you while working in community engagement?
Okay, so what are the values? Will be first values that I most hold on to is actually empathetic, because community engagement, yes, engaging the community and how we can service the community that we're serving for. And coming on this, I feel like we need to have this empathetic feeling, because we need to be more aware on the cultural sensitivity, and also having this kind of back mindset about who you're interacting with, and you need to be more aware if you're also having this kind of pre-assumptions, prejudice about the person, about the people. But having this kind of ups and downs with my home team as well, it's kind of a like empathetic feeling, because we're feeling for everyone. We're not only focusing on ourselves. And next on is in community engagement, I think leadership is very important as well, especially in Indonesian Student Association, where it comes with like a whole role or whole like spectrum of people coming in different ranks. But it's not only like the ranks are not very much important if you're not contributing like towards the whole team's success. I feel like, because in my term we have our own director as well, and our own directors and all the higher ups were actually like encouraging us to have our own responsibility and to be more aware of our own goals in this organization. And leadership has been one of the if we're talking about leadership, I think accountability is also connected indirectly with leadership. So I think that's like one package value in community engagement. And lastly, I think it's about discipline, because we are also working towards the same goal. We got a lot of like events ongoing. I feel like if we're disciplined enough to take care of our own time management, we can also execute any events without any problems and talk in advance. Yeah.
I see. And for our last question for this segment, from all the experiences you've gained so far, what skills did you gain from these organizations that you think you couldn't learn in class?
Okay, so what skills I've gained is, maybe first will be public speaking, because I'm actually like quite back then I wasn't very fluent into what I'm going to be saying, and will often find myself like speaking offside and out of the box, out of like the context that we are talking about. But now I'm like making on this experience, because I also have been exploring myself. I've also interacted with a lot of more people, and making on like doing what I've loved and to share it with my own like social media. I think it has I had like honed my public speaking. And next on will be on the emotional intelligence side, which is more on the empathetic, because maybe for some of the modules we weren't focusing on the AQ side. It's more of a like academic and IQ. So honing my EQ side, it's like I'm not achieving. I don't want to like just to be a book smart. I want to be a street smart, and therefore in doing so, I need to get out of like the whole classroom and like go beyond that border into like joining organizations, joining CCAs, and interacting with people. I think one of the key is like you need to get outside there and experience what can the world gives you. And last on will be it's quite a hard pick, but I would say it's more of a like cultural awareness, because in an international setting right now, I'm also an international student. I know the classroom won't really teach us about how to be respectful, how to be like, you know, be more culturally aware of the person, of the friend group that you're with. But also maybe it's more of a like small task maybe the teacher or the lecturer will give you instead of the modules itself. But coming in, like joining a lot of organizations, I believe one of them is like Impactional, and again is more on the Indonesian organizations I'm involved with. And also in Singapore, I've also joined a couple of organizations, INSIM as the Insight Committee, also International Student Office, also ISEC in SIM, and I feel like this kind of organizations actually teach us a lot than what can the classroom offer in terms of like networking, in terms of how they can prepare you for the workforce, and how we can put ourselves into the responsibility that we maybe not sure that we can go with it, but you can give it a try because you're signing up yourself for the organization. So it's like opening doors to many more different possibilities.
Yeah, there definitely isn't as many opportunities for growth in class compared to these organizations usually. And now, for the last part of our interview, we have the true or false questions. And for our first question, let me ask you first, true or false? Being part of Local Youth Indonesia has changed how you see youth empowerment. True or false?
True!
Maybe can you explain a bit?
Okay, so it is actually true because what you mentioned about how I can perceive the youth empowerment side after being in Local Youth Indonesia, I would say Local Youth Indonesia is not a very big name, but it has a very big impact on me as a person and also as a learner myself. Because in Impactional, although my role was simply just being a public speaker, but oftentimes when we have our own webinars, we try on different roles. So it's like a versatile moment for me to explore on what roles that I can have. And in coming up with youth empowerment itself, I feel like it doesn't like an impact doesn't have to be very big or like very prestigious for you to call it to call it a success. But it's more of a like, what kind of actions, what can we serve, what can we give to the whole community for the betterment, and also for the any small efforts, any small impacts that we've made is actually a success itself in terms of achieving something, in terms of executing. So yeah, I would say youth empowerment in Local Youth Indonesia is one of the most fulfilling thing that I've also had with them.
For our next question, true or false? You feel proud telling people about the organizations and impact you're part of.
True. Yeah, this is the explanation. Yeah. Okay, so it's pretty self-explanatory because as you guys, the viewers watching this, also maybe feel like I'm like very passionate when talking about organization, because I feel it's one of the things that you can actually join. Like you must join because I'm also like I'm quite a pessimistic person back then, quite shy kid, and don't want to like be in the spotlight. But after joining organizations, I feel like this specific bodies or specific people and that I've met through, that I've interacted with, can actually help me grow and help me find a better path for myself. And just having so much network outside of classroom, I think that's one of the things that you're gonna have and gonna be commemorating on after your uni life ended. Yeah.
next one, leadership and confidence is something you're born with, not something you build. True or false?
False. Okay, so explain. Okay, so I believe leadership doesn't come. I mean, like for some people, it doesn't come naturally, or some people are just born to be leaders. I mean, it's a fair few, but for me, talking about leadership, I don't think everyone has the same capability, has the same natural talent to be born as a leader. Even for myself, I feel like after leading and also being experienced as a member and also progressively as the leader, I feel like in order for me to be a leader, I need to keep on trying on different experiences, and from this kind of experience is what stood out and make me grow myself and having this growth mindset as well. So it doesn't come naturally, and even for myself, yeah. So once again, it's like a set of process, stages, phases for me, and in achieving this, back again with my own backgrounds, back again with the portfolio that I've had with the experience. The experience are what made me more of a self-conscious and more of a confident person that I can be right now. Yeah.
And for the last question, oftentimes when you get into organizations, you don't really know what you're getting into. It's just you and your gaskan mindset against the world.
Oh, okay. True or false?
Yes, true or false.
I'm more of a neutral, but for me, I think it's more of a true. But this is a fun question as well for the true or false. I'm more of a like in the middle, because for me sometimes when you're signing up for something, it's like you need to brace yourself. You can just try, and you don't really think about other people's opinions or like doubting on you, but it's more of a like because you want to try and you want to do, and oftentimes I think this result in positive experience as well. And doesn't mean that you can, I mean like for instance, like you don't think about all sorts of necessities, all sorts of like responsibilities, but also because you want to try and you give it a shot. So I think that's one of the important factors, to just join and try yourself to be, go out of your comfort zone. But also at the same time, I think it's still quite fundamental to know your own self before you're signing up. So like all the basic things, and at least research on a little bit about the organization that you're going to be joining on, and knowing yourself better, and really making like this kind of self brainstorming session with your own self, whether you're up for the challenges or you will think that it can benefit you better to join another organization instead of the organization that you're going to be joining, if it's not suitable for your own passion and your needs.
So it's just like you have to know
Yeah.
the bare minimum, but like just go for it.
Yeah.
You never know what life has for you. Alright, and that wraps up today's episode of Spotlight. Thank you, Belinda. It has been a very insightful interview, especially with how you introduced a lot of youth empowerment opportunities in Indonesia, and also how you taught us to be passionate about what we do, to be compassionate to yourself, and also to be optimistic. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm Derek.
And I'm Natasha.
And we'll see you at another episode of Spotlight.
Bye.
Bye.